Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening, or thank you for joining me specifically, to discuss the Center for the Visual Performing Arts and all the wonderful opportunities that are available to young people here at Suitland High School. This is going to be a brief presentation and introduction. We will have other events, some virtual, some in person, where families can visit with students, with faculty, and get more acquainted with the different majors. So today serves mostly as an introduction and a place to ask questions and to become more familiarized. I want to go into the chat so that you guys can share. Let me know who you are and what school are you visiting us from today. Let me get to that place in just a minute. Here we are. Yes. Let me turn that down. And okay, we have some people in the conversations. All right, if you could tell me what school are you visiting from and what major you're interested in. My daughter can apply. She's current. Yes, I specifically sent. Someone asked, can they apply if their child is currently a student high school? I purposely sent an invitation to current 8th and ninth grade. Well, ninth grade students at Suitland High School, so that they can apply. If you are currently in the CVPA but you would like to change majors, this is also another time where you can do that. But yes, if you are currently at Suitland High School, you absolutely can, and we want you to. As the evening progresses, you please drop your questions in the chat so that I can make sure that I address everyone's. What happened? Local recording has stopped. I wonder if I'm still live. Yeah, it says up live. So okay. So something happened on my desktop, and I thought maybe it stopped broadcasting, but I'm still here. All right. So, what is the Center for the Visual Performing Arts? Can you be more specific on how the current students can apply? So, if you are currently a CVPA student and you are, for instance, and you're in the ninth grade, and you would like to change majors, you can apply for a different major, go through the whole process like you did the first time. And then when this decision is made, you can change majors if you are accepted. If you are not accepted, then you can remain in your current major. But that's one way that you can do that. As far as current students, Miss Nikki, yes, this is what I'm here to explain, is how to apply. The first part is to visit our website, which is www.pgcps.org. I will place it in the chat. CVPA. When you go there, the banner in the website has the application. It takes about 5 minutes to complete. You will need the email addresses of 2 teachers that you would like to recommend you, and so you want to have that handy. I'm also going to, oh, hello, Ms. White. I'm also going to place our presentation for this evening in the chat so that you can also have it and follow along in case you're looking at it on your phone, or maybe your screen is not as large as you would like it. But also because the actual presentation also has hyperlinks that I would like for you to follow to look at performances or some additional resources that can tell you a little bit more about what's being shown. This way people can kind of focus on the area that they're interested in without having to watch things they don't want to watch. So I'm going to put the link here. Okay. Set the edit. Okay, perfect. So going to go ahead and get started. Go ahead and continue to post your questions. So what is CVPA? CVPA is a rigorous 4-year high school program. In the olden days, they used to call programs like this magnet programs, but that term has gone out of fashion. So now they're called specialty art programs. And they are designed specifically to help students become career professionals in the arts. The images up behind me are all of graduates who are now doing amazing things in their respective majors. And so the difference between what you could normally expect in a regular arts class versus what happens at CVPA is that we are here to build careers, not just to go to college. You can go to college and be unfocused and not accomplish much if you're not focused or goal oriented. And so part of what CVPA does is help students create a body of work that is then rewarded with scholarships and acceptance into some of the best schools in the country. And then that leads to them focusing on a degree or a major that then leads to a career. Now, that does not mean that if you come into CVPA that you have to maintain your major once you're in college. It tends to work out that way, but it doesn't have to be. We have students that have gone on to medicine, engineering, law. And so what happens though is that the successful strategies for sticking with something for a long period of time, giving it thought, pursuing opportunities, and proving yourself that you can begin and start something. Those things last for a lifetime, and colleges understand that. Colleges also understand that a student that selects themselves to go to school over 1,000 hours extra for just because they want to also tells them that this is a student who is serious about learning, and that is the student that they're looking for. Because the number one fear that college recruiters have is that the student that they are recruiting is not going to finish their schooling, and then that does two things. It dings them because that's how colleges get evaluated. It's based on how many students, the percentage of students they graduate. But also, if they've provided that student with any scholarship funds, they lose those scholarship funds because they gave it to someone who didn't use them. And so for that reason, they're looking for people that can prove that they are very serious and will commit to something, commit to a major. Okay. Let me go back to my presentation here. Let me see if I can have this. So you have the presentation, so you can follow along. You don't have to rely. I'm going to play a sample of this students at play singing. Oh, come on.
Hello and welcome to the Suitland High School Center for Visual and Performing Arts Winter Music Department Concert. My name is Cullen Waller, Band Director.
And my name is Linnell Randall, Choral Director. It's been a long 2 years since students have had the opportunity to create music together.
Today you will hear a mix of classic holiday favorites coupled with some other literature that represents a little bit of our current climate and culture.
So, we invite you to sit back, relax, enjoy the show, share with a friend. Enjoy.
I'm going to skip forward a little bit. I'm going to pause here. As I mentioned previously, the presentation is full of hyperlinks that you can see student work samples. And so I hope that you will take the time to take a look at those. Let's see, as you move along. Just a sec. All right, let's get back to this presentation. So who is CVPA for? As I mentioned previously, the CVPA program is specifically for students who are seriously minded about the arts. That also means that for a student to be successful in the program, they have to have support both at home and at school. We provide the school support, and you provide the home support. There is a commitment that is made not just to the arts, but also to the academics. And so we ask students to make a decision about what it is that they want to do in the future, and then once they're in the program, regardless of what's happened before they came to high school, we help them meet those goals. Some program features that are very specific to CVPA. And by the way, I should mention that we are the southern version of CVPA at Suitland High School. There is also a northern northwestern version, which you can access on their website. And I will show what the difference are in terms of attendance. Most likely, if you receive this email from me, you are inside of the CVPA for Suitland zone, unless you move or there's something else going on. So some very specific features. You have to audition to get in the program, and we provide assistance for that audition because we recognize that not every student is familiar with audition procedures, and so on November 30th, in the email you received, there was a link for you to RSVP. RSVP is not required, but we do encourage it because we will be providing refreshments on that day. We want to make sure that we have enough for everyone. So if you are planning to attend, please RSVP with the number of people who will be in attendance. Preferably because we will be in the annex building, which is a smaller building. Try not to bring more than 2 or 3 people at the most. We understand that sometimes, daycare or after school care, it can be a challenge. So if that can be helped, it can be helped. But please try to not have more than one other person or 2 people along with the child, because also, even though we're lighter in COVID, we're coming out of COVID, we're also trying to minimize the amount of interactions amongst people from different parts of the county. Okay, so we will provide assistance for the audition. Another important component is that students receive private lessons. And if you are someone who knows what that costs, it's an immense expense. The school system provides that because we believe that students deserve it, for one, but also we know that students are going to leave here as individual musicians, even though they may be part of an ensemble. And so having students feel comfortable and confident about their ability to carry their own, it's very, very important. And so therefore, every student receives at least 1 private lesson per week. And then the rest of the time, they have to work on whatever their applied teacher provided for them. Small learning environments. Students who are in the program are often in small classes within the cohort. For instance, like for students who are in piano theory classes, there is small numbers because the amount that they have to learn is pretty significant, and also requires a lot of one-on-one. There are some places where that doesn't make sense. For instance, like if for a large ensemble, like the choir or like the orchestra or the band, in which cases you want more. But in those cases, there are smaller ensemble options for the more advanced students, which meet on a different day. So the opportunity for students to have a lot of a one-on-one with a professional is pretty high within the program. Pre-professional training. So the program is designed so that when a student leaves here, they can literally enter the professional world of their art if they've done the work that was supposed to have been done. However, we don't encourage that. We do encourage students to go on to college and increase their training, and maybe even find out that sometimes they actually are interested in a different profession and not necessarily that profession that they pursue while they were in high school. Um, Individualized instruction for all. So even though students may be in larger classes, as I mentioned before, there is a focus on the part of the faculty, which are comprised of professionals themselves, to make sure that every student has a body of work that will serve them for their purposes after high school. Transportation is provided to every student who is accepted into the program, and that is again students within our district zone, which is everywhere from south of Route 50 on down. And so there is a link that I will share with you. Actually, if you open the presentation, you're probably already there. It's the eligibility map. It has the link for you to be able to access um, the the portal where you can put in your address and it will tell you which school pertains to you. But wherever you are in the county, you will receive 3 buses. One bus will bring you to school in the morning. One bus will take you home in the afternoon on your early days, and another bus will take you home on your late days, also after school. To explain that, we are an A-day, B-day school, and as is most of the county, I think at this point. And so for most majors, they'll have a day where they end the school at 3:10, and another where they'll end the day at 4:40 at the beginning of their high school experience. But then once the first year or so is done, first or second year, depending on their major, they will stay late every day. That's done on purpose so that students have an opportunity to kind of slowly grow into the program and not feel the shock of being in school so many hours right away. It is the understanding that on those days when they go home early, however, that they will be working on homework and making sure that they have enough time to complete all of their required assignments and to practice their craft. Because it is a really long day, depending on where students are coming from, whether it's Accokeek or Oxon Hill or some other parts of the county, students could be getting home at like 6, 7 o'clock. Um, again, depending on your address. And as I mentioned, we are an extended school day, so students don't have to sacrifice electives and other high school interests. And so, whereas regular high school hours are from 8:30 to 3:10, CVPA students attend school from 8:30 to 4:40 on some days, and upperclassmen attended those hours every day. Um, Students who are in the program have unparalleled access to professionals in the area. Some who already work and live in this area, but also some that come to visit the Kennedy Center, the Clarice Smith, the Washington Performing Arts. Whenever professionals come into those places, they often contact us, so that those individuals have an opportunity to work with young aspiring professionals, and our students benefit greatly from those experiences. Eligibility. So who's eligible? Very simply, any student who is a PGCPS high school student who is currently in the 8th and 9th grade, who will be in high school next year, whether in the 9th or 10th grade next year, is eligible to apply today. The application window is open right now. I would encourage you to either completed right after this presentation or completed now as we're talking, so that if you develop any questions, you can ask me in the chat. Students who have a minimum of 2.0. So let's say you don't have that 2.0 now. Okay, fine. We provide you with a maximum amount of time so that you can have those that grade ready in March when it's time to make a decision. Um, the reason for that is we're not the program is not designed to exclude students. A 2.0 is actually a very low is a very low threshold to meet. But what we do know is that if a student is struggling with say 6 classes and they have less than a 2.0, then the understanding would be that if they can then have 8 classes or 10 classes, that that's likely to not help them, right? And so we know that once the students have done the work, um, oftentimes, and they're able to connect with their interest, oftentimes they stay on honor roll. So the majority of our students are honor roll, even though the majority did not come with honor roll grades. And so that's a testament to both what the arts can do for young people, but also how young people support each other to achieve greatly. And that's one of the things that I think is so beautiful about this program, is that students are actually excited and encouraging of each other to be smart or to get good grades. And so these fun rivalries happen of students competing with each other to get better grades. And that's unfortunately it's rare, but we're very fortunate to have a front row seat to that. And then also students who come from other schools, who are other magnet schools. We get students who come from Baltimore School of the Arts, as well as Duke Ellington, who transfer here. And there's a link that I won't click on, but if you could, if you have more questions about the eligibility. And then geographically speaking, eligibility is everyone who lives south of that line, right? And I think there's been a fine tuning to that. I don't have an updated map, but I know that there was a what do you call it? There was tweak. That's what I'm looking for. There was a tweaking that was done to the map. But the way to know for sure is if you click on School Finder and put in your address, it will tell you if your school would be Northwestern or Suitland High School. But as I said, almost everyone that was included in this email was for Southern Prince George's County. So what is available here? What is the fuss? Everything is available here. For students who are interested in pursuing careers in the visual arts, students begin their high school experience in the arts with developing 2 years of foundation, during which during the 2 years they take classes in drawing, computer graphics, painting, sculpture, photography, printmaking, and art history. That's the first 2 years. And then the last 2 years, they focus on a particular area, whether it's drawing or computer graphics or painting, or sometimes they can focus on two. And that builds the body of work that then is evaluated by college admission people. And we are in a very unique position here at Suitland High School in that we're one of the few schools where the colleges call us to come and evaluate student portfolios to recruit. So around this time of the year, is when the colleges are dropping in, usually during fifth period, to do portfolio reviews and to offer scholarships, sometimes on the spot. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Music is also in that same category of highly sought after majors. And so within the CVPA, students have an opportunity to pursue 4 years of training in band music, piano music, orchestra music, vocal music. Each of those major has a music theory class every year. And so they'll have theory 1, theory 2, and then it moves up to like AP theory, so they get college credits before they go to college. And as I mentioned previously, they also receive private lessons. They have multiple opportunities to perform. And oftentimes, when the performers are needed in either sometimes the federal government and sometimes local government, they reach out to us to provide them with students to come. As a matter of fact, I was just contacted for County Executive also Brooks' reinauguration, which is going to be on what is it, December 5th, and we'll be performing. The orchestra will be performing, or orchestra students will be performing at that venue. But because there isn't usually a lot of time of lead time, they know that our students will be ready, and so they contact us. Also, students can pursue TV production and also known as media arts. And so, within media arts, students are introduced to the elements of filming, editing, broadcasting. There's some tinkering with radio, although that's really more becoming like podcasting, mass communication, whether it's web design. Uh, there are a number of different ways that you can communicate now, and then that's changing, whether it's social media and so forth, and also writing and storyboarding. So writing for TV, so things like those are very specific careers, like writing for award shows, writing for commercials, and storyboarding. Everything that you've seen on television. Um, Whether it was a movie or a TV show or even infomercials, really, where someone drew the storyboard of what it was going to look like when it was finished. Because the director decides what it's going to look like, not the actual videographer or cinematographer in this case. And so the cinematographer has to have basically a script of what's going to be shot. And so students learn that process early on, and that's actually something that's part of the audition process, which we teach here um, during the audition workshop. And dance. So for dance, students take ballet, modern, ethnic every year for the 4 years. They develop repertoire and they increase their strength because a lot of the work that they have to do relies um, on being able to actually sustain their bodies in positions that would be very dangerous if you did not develop those strengths. So, like for instance, the images on the screen are students obviously on point. It takes a certain number of years to develop the ankle strength to do that, and so that's part of that training. As they mature and they become more experienced, students then become choreographers themselves, and they put on a choreography concert, fully completely done by students each what's it, February, and they also learn dance production. And dance production is basically everything to do with the costuming, the makeup, the lighting, stage mark. And so, for students who may not be interested in going into the actual performance aspect of dance, there's a whole other world that is also very lucrative and one that is in high demand of people, of women of color. Um, and so that's part of the training students receive. Theater. Within theater, students mostly obviously focus on acting. They explore different styles of acting, which is performance styles. They also learn theatrical design, which is stage design, similar to what I was saying about dance. They learn how to create a scene. They learn how to light that scene. They learn how to market so that the actors know how to move within that space. Their senior year, they write a play, and then they direct that play, including students who are in the upper underclassmen, so like sophomores and freshmen. So they get to have a wealth of information and experiences surrounding the process for how art gets made, right? I think I kind of said why the arts, but I'll get into more detail. Um, why CVPA? The reason you want to, if you're interested in pursuing a career in the arts, is because this is a place where you can do it at a very high level with highly trained professionals, with access to some of the countries, if not the world's top talent who comes through the area. Um, you get a lot of individualized instruction. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to pay for transportation. You don't have to pay for instruments. It helps if you have your own, but if you don't have your own instrumentation or instruments, then we provide that as well. It is what the beauty of public education to make sure that every student has access. Early career preparation, knowing in advance that you want to do something in the arts, even if you don't know exactly what, that level of preparation as early as to high school makes all the difference in helping you hone your energy in something that's going to bear fruit in the long run, whether it's in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, when you finally arrive at what your final career is going to be. Um, but yes, it's a very important way to go about crafting your future. And as people talk about what the future is going to look like, there's a lot of anxiety and concern about automation and how jobs that are current jobs are going to disappear, but jobs in the arts can't disappear because a robot or an AI cannot do art. They can imitate art. They can approximate, they can kind of guess, but the actual concept of art is human. And so having careers that are entrenched so heavily in the arts makes it does two things: self-fulfillment for one, but also having job security um, in an area that's unlikely to be phased out because of the advancement of machines. Other things that our students get to do now that we are out of COVID, we are able to do field trips, and we're excited about that. We have international artists coming through. We have, in the past years, we've had artists from Brazil and France and other parts of South America to work with our students. Um, we are a pre-college program, and that means something when it's when schools see it that you are coming from a program like this, and you get a high-profile experience, which makes a big difference when you're building your portfolio. The program is designed to build mastery, not just an understanding, or not just a dabbling, not just like a hobby. Students come here to dedicate a great deal of time to getting really good at something, and that is what we're here to do. And in the process, students get to meet and have long life friendships. They meet similar individuals with whom they have similar thoughts. We've had some of our alumni who are be friends for a really long time. As a matter of fact, in the email that I sent you guys, there is a story in the New York Times about our arts program. And what's featured in that story is three students who started at Pulling together, then came to Suitland together, then graduated from Suitland and went to Cooper Union with full scholarships together, and then eventually went on to Yale together. And those are the kinds of connections and friendships that students forge, or students can forge. I'm not saying that it always happens, but it can happen. One of those students happens to be Rashawn Baker's oldest son, Rashawn Baker the third. And so and they're all artists in their own right. One of those artists is a professor at a school in university in California. Uh, Eric is a working artist himself, and Rashawn is also an exhibiting artist. So the students who come through this program and give it time get the rewards for that. What else? Um, I mentioned previously that students get high scholarships for the work they do here, and that is absolutely vital. And here are some of the schools that our students have gone on to do, and this is by no means an exact list. There's obviously a lot more schools. This is just in the last few years. And oops, sorry. And then these are some of the companies that they're currently working in. There's obviously, we need to add a few more. See as I'm looking at. Okay, so what happens next? You want to apply. Well, The good news is that you're at this presentation at a time when the application window is open, which is not always the case. And so the application window is open now through December 16th. But I would not wait until December 16th because the closer you get to that window, um, especially as the holidays come on, you will tend to be distracted and other things happen. But also, you have to place the email addresses of two teachers for your recommendations, and so those teachers will get bombarded as you approach the deadline for the application. So you want to get those out of the way. Additionally, if you're kind of torn and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to go the art route, maybe I don't know if I want to do the science and tech route, maybe I want to do the high school university high school route, um, then don't choose. Do all three. Apply to all three, complete the process for all three, and then once you have results, make a decision. Um, that is a winning recipe for life, because then however you feel now may change, but also if you put all your eggs in one basket, that is such an old person saying. But if you put all your energy into one program, and you then don't make it or something else comes up, um, you don't want to be left without options. So give yourself the time, apply to everything, and then make a decision later. This blue link here, which I won't click on, but you can, um, details the audition process, how to audition for each of the majors, and all of that good stuff. When things are due. I mentioned before that we will be having an audition workshop on November 30th, and that will be in person here at Suitland. You want to, in the email that I sent you, there's a link to RSVP, so please take the time to do that. And yes, and then the regular auditions will be in January. So sometime between the fourth, yes, sometime between mid January to late January. And usually the audition results will be available about a month or so later, and registration then happens early April. I say that as a way of gauging, when your when your grades should be in place, so that if that's something that you need to work on, then you'll know. Questions. Please add your questions to the chat, so that I can, where did that screen go? I think this is still going on. I haven't been looking at it. Let's see. That is my email address on the screen, obviously. Please email me if you have any questions. And also, when you visit our website, the banner page is the application link. So click on the top banner. And then also at the top of the webpage, there is a link that says prospective students or future students. Click on that. That is a page dedicated specifically to questions that students and parents may have. We will have another open house in December after we have the audition workshop. And on that one, we will have students and faculty to speak directly, and parents to speak directly to the questions that you are likely to have. This presentation is available to you via the chat, but you can also you can also use a QR code to access it on here. This is the gist of the presentation for me, but I really want to take some time to take any questions that you may have. So let me go back to the channel. but I really want to take some time to take any questions that you may have. So all right, so I'm looking at your channel. I mean, I'm looking at your questions. Yes, I see Benjamin Floyd, dance department. Yay. Ms. Nikki, can you let me know if I answer your question about the application process, please? A key point about the application, when you complete the online application, some things to keep in mind. If you work in a government job or a job that has a high security email address, don't use that email address because it will prevent you from getting emails from the platform. Use a personal email address. Also, do not use a student PGCPS email address. For some reason, it, it, it just prevents students from getting. And also, I would recommend using two email addresses so that if something goes wrong with one, then at least the other one will get it. There will be a number of notifications. You will be receiving an invitation to the audition sometime in December. The invitation would be in December, but the actual audition will be in January. I hope that's clear. Is it possible for my child to attend CPS? What is CPS? Oh, that's our CVPA? Okay. I think it's like some of those things like CPS is automatic, like Child Protective Services. Yes, you can attend CVPA, and theoretically you can play a sport, but I want to be um, transparent with you about this. Um, Children want to do everything, right? And the challenge with that is that there are only 24 hours in a day. So my recommendation to families is give your child at least a year to put together a successful high school strategy for, getting out of the house, getting on the bus, getting to school, and getting back home, getting some nutrition, doing the homework, all of that good stuff, right? Um, Once he or she has done a year of that, and you can evaluate whether that was successful or not, then consider, and I say that meaning if they're able to maintain a 3.0 and they're able to do those things. Why a 3.0? Because 3.0 is the beginning of scholarship of rewards. And so you want to make sure that that is at least the minimum goal that we're setting. We provide students with a lot of assistance so that they can get to that. Doesn't mean that if you don't have a 3.0, you can't be in the program. No. But it does mean that if you are here and you're maintaining just a 2.0, while you're going to school all these extra hours, in a way, is a waste of your time. Because at the conclusion of your high school experience, a 2.0 is not going to get you what you came here to get. And so we want to make sure that students are focused on what it is that they're here to do, which is to matriculate successfully to a high school diploma that would lead to a free college education. That's the goal, right? Now, if they can add other things and still maintain that 3.0 and still, make it to their rehearsals and get all the other stuff done, then I say yes. As a matter of fact, this young man here, let me see if I can turn the screen. This young, here. He was a visual arts major who also played football and played basketball. And he maintained his grades. I don't know how he did it, but he maintained a 4.0. And at the conclusion of his high school experience, he had a several scholarships, full scholarship for visual arts. He had a scholarship for academics because he also took IB and AP classes. And then he also had a full football scholarship and a partial basketball scholarship. So today he is an engineer. He's not even doing art. But I can't imagine that the things that he learned in the program and the stick-to-itness and being able to focus didn't come in handy. He comes back from time to time and, reminisces about the good old days and how much we pressed him about, spreading himself too thin. but he was able to do it. So I don't ever want to say to children, no, you can't do it. But I will say, if you can afford it in terms of time, do it. But first, give yourself that 1 year, and then if you are able to afford it and you decide to go ahead and be a cheerleader or run track or do whatever it is that you want to do, and you get to I don't know, a few weeks in and your grades start to slip, then you got to let it go, because the most important aspect of what you're here to do is that academic achievement with the amazing desserts that is the arts. But I can't stress that enough. The arts are a dessert. The academics are really, really important. Let's see what to do when putting in an application. Does not work with this. I don't understand that, Miss Nikki. You want to put in an application? If you're using a PGCPS email account, address won't work. You have to use a non-PGCPS, and you also have to use a non.gov address. But you first have to create an account if you don't already have one. I think most people have one by now. Can I do band with no experience? Absolutely. So good question about the experience. We have a number of students that come to us with a wealth of experience from a lot of the middle school arts programs. However, that's not a requirement, and this is why it's so important that you need to come to the audition workshop if you fall into that category and you never auditioned before, because we're also looking for potential. We know that not every student has had the opportunity to be in a theater program or be in a music program. Ideally, being able to read music is a benefit. But it's not, if you cannot read music, but you're able to um, access the music some other way, like some people can do by ear, and then eventually are able to connect the dots. Now, I will say to you, most of the students who come into the program are able to read music, and that is a big component of that is the only component of music theory. And so that will mean that some students in the program, well, most of the students in the program will be ahead. But if you don't mind that and you're willing to work hard and you're accepted into the program, I would say give it a shot. We've had a number of students who've come in that way and picked up the actual music reading, sight reading, after applying themselves. And while you're asking me about that, if you read, I'm sorry, in the email that I sent you, there is a story about Eric, who actually he just retired from the Royal Ballet in London. He came in for a theater audition. Theater is right across the hallway from dance, but he left his monologue at home, and he was kind of sad about that. He didn't feel that he could do the audition, but he saw some girls across the hallway stretching and doing things that he felt he could do, and he had no dancing experience at all, none. But he gave it a try. He went ahead and did the audition, and the teachers saw the potential, and that potential eventually led to him being in the high. Well, I think the Russian ballet is probably the most sought after, but definitely the Royal Ballet is one of the crown jewels of ballet in the world, and so he was a main member of that dance company. So I say that to say that if it's what you want to do and you think you can do it and you're willing to do the work, I'm going to repeat that. If you're willing to do the work, then yes, go for it. The worst that can happen is that you can be told no, but then if you don't apply, then you're telling yourself no. So apply. Can I do band? Yes, I think I just answered that question. So I want to keep us to an hour. It is 7:57. And so I wanted to make sure that I answered any questions you had. So if there are no further questions, I'm going to say have a wonderful evening, and I hope that we can see you at the audition workshop. Please send me an email if you develop any other questions between now and then so that I can answer those for you. Thank you.